You didn't wake up by mistake. That pain in your chest, that pressure in your soul, it's not just stress. It's Allah calling you in the silence. Because what you're about to whisper tonight could unlock what the world told you was impossible. 1. You didn't wake up by accident. Allah pulled you into this hour. It's late. Everyone else is asleep. The lights are off. Your phone is dim. And your chest feels heavier than usual. Again. You keep telling yourself, it's probably just anxiety. It's just my mind racing again. It's just stress. But deep down, something feels different about tonight. The ache isn't just emotional. It's spiritual. The restlessness in your soul doesn't feel like an accident. It feels like you're being called. And maybe no one knows. No one checks on you at this hour. No one sees you scrolling, searching for something. Anything that will make this ache make sense. But there's one who sees everything. And it's not the algorithm that brought you here. It's not coincidence. It's not just another sleepless night. It's not your body keeping you up. It's your soul waking you up. Because Allah is gently tugging on the heart that's been silently breaking. You didn't just randomly wake up. You were chosen to wake up. This moment isn't like all the other hours in your day. This moment is sacred. It's a secret window, a divine invitation, a personal moment between you and the one who's been watching you survive, day after day, without ever asking for anything in return. You've smiled when you were exhausted. You've laughed when you were low. You've shown up for everyone, while feeling completely invisible yourself. And Allah saw all of it. Not a single moment was missed. He saw the heartbreak you never talked about, the mistakes you regret but don't know how to fix, the feeling that maybe your du'as aren't reaching Him anymore, that maybe you're too far gone. But here's what you need to know. This hour, this quiet, lonely hour, is proof that He never left you. You didn't need to beg for His attention. You didn't need to schedule a meeting with Him. You didn't even need to have the right words prepared. He called you, in your most unprepared state, with messy emotions, with a tired heart, with a soul that's barely holding on, because He doesn't want your perfection. He wants your presence. He wants to be with the real version of you, the one that's crying silently on the prayer mat, the one that feels unworthy of love, the one that gave so much to the wrong people and is now left feeling empty. This is not insomnia. This is mercy. This is Allah reaching into your darkness, into your silence, into the part of you no one else understands, and saying, I haven't forgotten you. I woke you up because I want to hear from you. Not the version of you that pretends to be okay. The version of you that feels broken, lost, and tired. Talk to me. I'm listening. And maybe you don't know what to say. Maybe you've sinned too much. Maybe you've drifted too far. Maybe you think your words won't mean anything. But what if I told you, you don't need perfect words? You don't need to speak in Arabic. You don't need long du'as. You don't even need to stand. All you need is to be honest. Because when your heart whispers, Ya Allah, I need you, that single whisper can shake the heavens. That broken cry can be more powerful than 1,000 perfect du'as. This hour is not about structure. It's about sincerity. It's not about who you've been. It's about who you're becoming. And sometimes, all it takes to begin again is one simple phrase from your heart. Astaghfirullah. not out of guilt, but out of love, out of longing, out of the realization that maybe, just maybe, he's been waiting for you to return this whole time. And when you say it, even quietly, even tearfully, even while shaking from emotion, something starts to shift in the unseen. The angels begin to lower their wings. The sky begins to open, and what felt blocked for years starts to gently unlock. Because this isn't just a late night. This is a sacred turning point. This is the moment that heaven bends down to listen to one tired soul, whispering their way back to Allah. You didn't wake up for no reason. You were pulled out of your sleep so that Allah could begin rewriting something for you that you thought was already over. And maybe this is the night that everything quietly begins again. Not with answers, not with signs, but with you, whispering, "Forgive me, Ya Allah. I need you now more than ever." And he already knew, and he has already begun responding. 2. The whisper of Astaghfirullah changes what effort can't touch. You've been trying. You really have. Trying to hold it together. Trying to stay patient. Trying to move forward while dragging wounds no one sees. You've stayed quiet when you were breaking. You kept walking when your heart was collapsing. You smiled when everything inside of you was screaming. You did what they told you. Be strong. Pray more. Trust the process. Keep going. And you did. But it still hurts. The storm didn't pass. The doors didn't open. The heaviness didn't leave. So now, a part of you wonders, am I doing something wrong? Why hasn't it worked? You're exhausted. You're spiritually tired. But here's the truth. The problem isn't your effort. It's that you were trying to build a future on a soul that hasn't exhaled yet. You've been working, but without cleansing. You've been searching, but without surrendering. You've been asking, but without returning. Because some doors in this life, they don't open with pressure. They open with presence. And some battles aren't won by effort. They're won by repentance. And there is one whisper, one sacred word, that heals what years of effort could not. Astaghfirullah. It's not just a phrase. It's a release. It's a reset. It's a silent cry to the one who's been quietly waiting to hear from you. You see, we think Istighfar is just for sins, but it's so much more. It's for the distance, the forgetfulness, the nights you cried yourself to sleep and didn't talk to Allah, the days you smiled at people but ignored your soul, the moments you begged the dunya to fix what only the divine could heal. Istighfar is a homecoming. It's your heart's way of saying, I lost myself trying to survive without you, but I'm here now. Please, let me come back. And when that whisper leaves your lips, especially in the sacred silence of Tahajjud, something begins to shift. Not always in the world outside, but always in the world within. The heart begins to soften. The pain starts to loosen its grip. The fog around your purpose starts to lift. The weight on your chest feels a little lighter. You didn't fix anything. You didn't solve your problems. But you remembered who can. That's the power of Astaghfirullah. You can whisper it with tears. You can whisper it without words. You can whisper it while trembling. And the angels, they write it down with golden ink. Because they know. That whisper came from a place only Allah understands. And that's what makes it beautiful. You're not asking for anything. You're not begging for outcomes. You're just surrendering. And in the unseen, the doors that were rusted shut for years start to unlock. Because repentance doesn't just clean the heart, it clears the path. It unblocks the rizq. It lifts the silence around your du'as. It realigns your soul with the future Allah has been preparing all along. Some of you've been waiting for answers, but the answer has been waiting for you to return. You keep chasing new routines, new goals, new people, new ways to heal, but none of them work. Because what you really need is to exhale, to pause, to kneel, to whisper, Ya Allah, I'm sorry. I forgot you. I need you. That is what changes the story. And the beauty? You don't need to earn it. You don't need to be perfect. You don't even need to know where to begin. You just need to say it from a place of truth, from a place of tiredness, from a place of deep, soul-level hunger. Because when you do, Allah responds, always, with love, with mercy, with healing you didn't even ask for. So maybe the problem was never your strength. Maybe it was your silence. And maybe the breakthrough you've been praying for is sitting right behind a whisper you've been holding back for too long. Let go of the performance. Let go of the pressure. Let go of the shame. Just breathe out the pain and breathe in His mercy. One word at a time. One tear at a time. One night at a time. Astaghfirullah. That's all it takes. And that's more than enough. Because what Astaghfirullah touches, effort never could. And what Allah forgives, no one can block. 3. Some delays aren't punishments. They're pending forgiveness. You keep asking the same question. Why is nothing working? You pray. You try. You cry. You stay patient. And yet, the answer doesn't come. Doors remain closed. People remain distant. That one dream you've held onto for years, it still feels far away. And something inside you starts whispering dangerous thoughts. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe Allah has forgotten me. Maybe I've already missed my chance. But that voice, it's not from Allah. It's from the very thing that wants you to give up right before everything begins. Because what you're calling a delay, Allah may be calling a divine pause. Not to harm you, not to break you, but to protect you from receiving something too soon. Not every delay is a punishment. Some delays are pending forgiveness. You've been begging for a new chapter, but the page hasn't turned yet. Why? Because Allah doesn't want to build your next chapter on the guilt you buried in the last one. He sees the prayers. He sees the tears. But He also sees the hidden parts of your heart, the pain you never confronted, the sin you never cleaned, the moment you drifted and never came back. So instead of giving you what you asked for, He held it back, gently, lovingly, so you wouldn't ruin your future with an unhealed past. It wasn't rejection. It was mercy. Because what if He gave you that marriage before you healed from the heartbreak? What if He gave you that risk before you let go of the haram that was blocking it? What if He gave you that status while your soul was still filled with pride and silent sins? He knows what your hands are ready to carry. But more importantly, He knows what your heart is ready to hold. And sometimes, the only thing standing between you and your answered dua is one whispered phrase in the night, Astaghfirullah. Repentance isn't just about sin. It's about clearing space making room for what's next, removing the dust that's been sitting on your soul. You're asking for light, but the glass of your heart is still fogged. You're asking for love, but you're still clinging to what was never written for you. You're asking for clarity, but you haven't paused long enough to say, Ya Allah, forgive me for everything I forgot I did. Some of the most beautiful things in life come after we surrender, not before. And the most beautiful form of surrender isn't a speech. It's not a dramatic prayer. It's not even in perfect Arabic. It's in the tear that falls when you finally admit, I've been trying to build without purifying. I've been asking without cleaning. I've been begging, but I haven't truly returned. So Allah pauses the blessing, not to push you away, but to pull you back closer than ever, because He wants the version of you that's ready to receive, not chase. And He knows when you whisper, Astaghfirullah at Tahajjud, when your voice breaks in sujood, when you finally open your heart and release the guilt, something divine unlocks. Suddenly, the delays don't feel like punishment. They feel like a process, a sacred rewiring, a cleansing of the unseen, a rewriting of your destiny with the ink of repentance. And what was once stuck starts to move. What once felt far starts to feel near. What once brought you pain starts becoming the reason for your peace. You see, sometimes Allah doesn't give it to you, because if He did, you'd forget Him after. So instead, He lets you ache. He lets you long. He lets you cry out at 2 a.m., alone on your prayer mat, until the only thing left in your heart is Him. And that's when He gives it. Not just the thing you asked for, but Himself. Because nothing is heavier than guilt, and nothing clears it faster than a single, broken, truthful Astaghfirullah. So if you feel stuck, if everything feels paused, if your dreams feel locked away, maybe it's not because Allah is saying no. Maybe it's because He's saying, come back to me first. Let the tears fall. Let the ego break. Let the silence become your sujood. And let your repentance become the key that opens doors effort never could. What's delayed is not denied. It's being held by the one who knows when your heart will finally be ready. And that moment might begin tonight, not with a miracle, but with a whisper. Forgive me, Ya Allah. Clean me before you gift me. I'm ready now. And the blessing you thought was gone was never gone. It was waiting for this version of you. The one who's not begging out of impatience, but returning out of love. And that's the version Allah has been preparing to bless all along. For Istighfar doesn't just cleanse, it changes the direction of Qadr. You think your life is stuck, like no matter how much you try, how much you give, how long you wait, nothing moves. You've changed your habits. You've made your du'as. You've cried in secret. But the path is still blocked. You've been wondering, what if this is just how my story ends? What if I've already missed my chance? What if I'm not chosen for that kind of future? But what if the reason nothing is changing on the outside is because something hasn't shifted yet on the inside? You're not lost. You're not forgotten. You're not rejected. You're just in a pause that's waiting for one thing: your return. You see, there's something that moves faster than effort. Something that reaches deeper than tears. Something that bends the very flow of Qadr without making a sound. It's not planning. It's not performance. It's not people. It's Istighfar. When you whisper Astaghfirullah, sincerely, especially at night, especially when no one sees you, you're not just cleaning your past. You're shifting your entire future. Because repentance doesn't just purify, it redirects. It rewrites the parts of your life that were misaligned by your distance from Allah. It adjusts what you couldn't see. It lifts what effort couldn't. It pulls you back into the orbit of divine timing. Some of us are stuck, not because we're doing the wrong things, but because we haven't removed the spiritual fog that's been blocking the next chapter. And that fog? It often comes from the things we tried to hide from ourselves. That one sin we ignored. That one person we refused to let go. That one habit we downplayed. That one moment we turned our face away from Allah when He was calling. You see, Qadr is written, but hearts are rewritten. When repentance becomes real, Allah won't build your future on a heart that's still holding what He asked you to release. So if your life feels paused, don't panic. Don't break yourself trying to force things to move. Don't beg for a new door before you clean the doorstep of your soul. Because some parts of your life are already written to open. They're just waiting for your soul to be light enough to carry them. And Istighfar is what lifts that weight. It's what clears the dust from the soul. It's what opens space for what's next. It's what unlocks the doors you didn't even know were blocked. And here's the beauty. You don't have to be perfect to say it. You don't need to come with eloquent du'as. You just need to come with truth. You need to say, Ya Allah, I've been trying so hard, but I forgot that nothing opens unless you open it, and nothing heals unless you cleanse it. So I'm not asking for the result tonight. I'm asking for release. Please forgive me for the parts of me I ignored. Please forgive me for moving without you. That whisper can bend what was set in motion years ago. That tear on the prayer mat can be heavier than years of action. That sujood at Tahajjud can change what people thought was final. And that's the power of returning. Your Qadr isn't stuck. Your heart is just waiting to be softened enough for the future to finally take root. You want change? Don't just change your habits. Change your closeness. Change your purity. Change the way your heart faces its Lord. Because when you do, you'll see what felt impossible start to become effortless. You'll see things you didn't even pray for suddenly appearing at your door. You'll see how the things that felt so delayed were actually waiting on you. And it all begins with one soft whisper, in a night so silent only Allah hears. Astaghfirullah. I trust you with the parts of my story I cannot see. Rewrite them with your mercy. And the pen moves, and the path clears, and the Qadr bends, not because you forced it, but because you finally returned. 5. This hour was built for the ones who can't pretend anymore. You're not here to impress anyone. You're not here to perform for angels. You're not here to recite the most beautiful dua. You're here because you're exhausted, because your heart is tired of being misunderstood, because your soul is tired of hiding behind a smile, because your chest feels tight from carrying things no one else sees. You've been pretending all day, pretending to be strong, pretending to be okay, pretending that your faith is fine, pretending that you're not breaking. But now, the world is asleep, and it's just you and him. No filters, no expectations, no one asking how you are, just the one who already knows. Tahajjud wasn't made for the people who have it all figured out. It was made for the ones who don't even know what to say anymore. The ones whose hearts are bruised from falling too many times. The ones who have given so much to others that they forgot how to give to themselves. The ones who smile in front of everyone, but cry the moment they're finally alone. You don't need perfect wudu. You don't need perfect words. You don't need to be composed. You just need to be honest. Even if all you can say is, Ya Allah, I'm tired. I can't do this alone. That whisper, with cracked lips and trembling breath, can unlock what thousands of eloquent du'as couldn't reach. Because Allah doesn't respond to performance. He responds to truth. And your truth tonight? It's messy. It's quiet. It's raw. But it's real. And that's all He's ever asked for. Not perfection. Just presence. The kind of presence that says, I'm here. I don't even know what to ask for. I just know I need you. That's enough. That's more than enough. Because that's the moment you stop pretending and start healing. This hour, this secret, sacred hour, wasn't made for people who are strong. It was made for the ones who are finally ready to say, I'm not okay, but I still believe you're near. And that belief, even when everything inside you is shaking, that's powerful. That's beautiful. That's the kind of belief that heaven honors. So sit on the prayer mat with your eyes full of tears. Kneel in the dark with your heart wide open. Whisper through your pain. Cry through your silence. You don't need to be put together. You just need to be present. Allah already knows. He saw how much you tried. He knows how tired you are of holding it all in. And that's why He brought you here, not to make another dua that sounds good, but to finally fall apart and let Him rebuild you from the inside out. You were never weak for breaking. You were just trying to be strong for too long. And this hour, this sacred, tear-soaked, silent hour, was built just for you. 6. You were never supposed to fix this alone. You've been carrying this pain like it's your job to figure it out. Like you're supposed to be strong enough, smart enough, spiritual enough to fix it on your own. You've been doing everything, trying to hold on, trying to stay quiet, trying to make sense of what feels senseless. You've been smiling for people while falling apart inside, giving advice while feeling lost yourself, helping others heal while bleeding behind closed doors. And still, you're expected to keep going, to keep functioning, to keep performing like nothing's wrong. But something is wrong, and you feel it. There's a quiet storm inside you, a pressure you can't name, a weight that won't lift. And maybe you haven't said it out loud, but deep down you've been wondering, why do I have to do this alone? But here's the truth you keep forgetting. You were never supposed to. You were never created to survive on your own. You weren't made to carry this pain silently through the night. You weren't built to figure everything out without help. That was never the design. Because when Allah created you, He also created the space for your weakness. He knew you'd fall. He knew you'd get tired. He knew there'd be moments you'd break down. And that's exactly why He gave you sujood, why He gave you the night, why He gave you tahajjud, not as a test, but as a place to collapse, so you could finally stop pretending to be okay, so you could finally hand over what your heart can't carry anymore. Because this pain, this confusion, this silence, it's not yours to solve. It was always meant to lead you back to Him, to a moment where your forehead touches the ground and you finally say, Ya Allah, I can't do this without you. That sentence, is not weakness. It's worship. It's not failure. It's faith. Because the strongest people in this Ummah were never the ones who fixed everything alone. They were the ones who broke and then turned to Allah in their most unfiltered state. And so should you. You don't need to understand the story. You don't need to predict the ending. You just need to surrender the pen. You need to let go of the illusion that it's your job to know everything. You need to stop punishing yourself for things you were never meant to control. And that starts tonight, in the stillness of this hour, in the quiet of your room, when it's just you, and the one who's been waiting for you to stop trying so hard, not because he wants you to give up, but because he wants you to give it to him. This isn't a sign of weakness. This is the beginning of healing. Because the moment you stop relying on your own strength, you begin to experience His. And His strength is not limited. His mercy is not delayed. His love is not transactional. You don't need to earn His help. You just need to ask for it. Even if all you can whisper is, "Help me. I don't know what I'm doing anymore." That's enough. That's more than enough. Because Allah responds to the broken. He comes closer to the crushed. He comforts the ones who finally admit, "I was never meant to do this alone." And maybe that's why it hasn't worked until now. Because the plan wasn't to fix it by yourself. The plan was to find Him in the breaking. And now that you've arrived, the healing can finally begin. 7. If you're crying tonight, it means your soul is still alive. If you're crying tonight, it's not because you're weak. It's not because you're lost. It's because your soul is still alive. This world teaches you to numb, to shut down, to distract, to fake smiles, to pretend you're fine. But tears? Tears mean you still feel. They mean your heart hasn't hardened. They mean your fitra is still breathing under all the pain. Tears in the darkness are not a breakdown. They're a return. Because only a soul that remembers Allah cries at night when no one is watching. When you cry and no one hears it, Allah does. When your lips don't move, but your eyes flood, Allah understands. When your chest is tight and your words fail, Allah still listens. Your tears are not a sign that you've failed. They're a sign that something sacred is waking up inside you. The part of you that was never meant for this dunya. The part of you that was created to kneel, to beg, to break, so that Allah could rebuild you softer, deeper, stronger. Don't wipe your tears in shame. Honor them, because some of the greatest acts of worship don't look like words. They look like tears. Tears that fall when no one knows what you're going through. Tears that come from an ache you can't explain. Tears that have been waiting for years to fall. But tonight, your soul finally cracked open, and Allah didn't miss it. Not a single drop. Not a single breath. Not a single tremble in your voice. Do you know how many people can't cry anymore? How many hearts have dried up? How many souls have grown numb from chasing the world too long? But you still cry. That's not sadness. That's purity. That's proof you're still connected. That even if you've sinned, drifted, failed, lost your way, you haven't lost your soul. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Two eyes will never be touched by the fire, an eye that weeps out of fear of Allah." That means tonight, your tears are protection. They're proof that your heart is still awake. They're evidence that the love of Allah still lives within you, even if you can't feel it yet. So let them fall. Don't silence them. Don't rush them away. Don't be embarrassed. Let the tears speak what your voice can't. Let them rise to the sky as silent du'as. Let them carry everything you've been holding in for too long. Sometimes Allah doesn't want words. Sometimes He just wants truth. And tears are the body's way of telling the truth. If you're crying tonight, you are in the perfect position to be rewritten, because tears soften what arrogance hardens. They purify what dunya has stained. They cleanse what shame tried to hide. And Allah loves the broken. He loves the tearful. He loves the ones who fall into sujood shaking and say nothing but, Ya Allah, I miss you. I need you. I can't keep doing this alone. That's not weakness. That's surrender. That's strength wrapped in vulnerability. So if you're crying tonight, feel honored. Your soul is returning. Your heart is resetting. Your story is being recentered, not on pain, but on the one who knows what to do with your pain. Because those tears, they're not useless. They're watering the seeds of a future you can't see yet. And maybe, just maybe, that thing you've been praying for is being unlocked by the tears you're shedding tonight. Don't fight them. Let them fall. Let them heal. Let them speak. You're not broken. You're alive. And Allah is closer than ever. He always was. But tonight, through your tears, you remembered. 8. Every Astaghfirullah at Tahajjud is a key turning the impossible into reality. There are things you've begged for. Du'as you made with trembling lips. Hopes you held on to quietly because saying them out loud made them feel too fragile. Miracles you imagined but never dared to expect. And then life kept delaying them. People kept telling you to be realistic. And the silence made you believe maybe it just wasn't meant to be. But what if it was never no? What if Allah was just waiting for your soul to fully return before giving you what you once thought was impossible? There are moments in this life where you don't need to move mountains. You don't need loud du'as. You don't even need to raise your hands. You just need to bow your head, touch your forehead to the ground in the quiet of Tahajjud, and whisper one word, Astaghfirullah. That whisper isn't small. It isn't powerless. It isn't unnoticed. It's a key that unlocks chains you didn't even know were wrapped around your path. A key that opens doors sealed by your own forgetfulness. A key that bends Qadr in the direction of mercy. A key that calls the angels to attention. A key that turns the impossible into inevitable. You may think it's just repentance, just words, just a soft whisper in the night. But in the unseen, it's an earthquake. It's a shift in your entire spiritual orbit. It's a cleansing of the dust that's been covering your destiny. Because some things in life don't arrive through effort. They arrive through Istighfar. You're praying for love. But have you cleared the bitterness still hiding in your heart? You're asking for rizq. But have you washed away the haram you never repented for? You're begging for peace. But have you removed the guilt you buried beneath distractions? When you whisper Astaghfirullah and mean it, you're not just seeking forgiveness. You're saying, Ya Allah, I want to be clean before I'm crowned. I want to be emptied before I'm filled. I want to be purified before I'm given what I asked for. And Allah responds, because repentance is the divine reset. It realigns what the world misaligned. It removes what's been silently blocking your blessings. It upgrades your capacity to receive what Allah already wrote for you. And when you combine Istighfar with Tahajjud, that's not just a whisper. That's spiritual thunder. That's a moment where the soul returns while the world sleeps, where the heavens open while everyone else is distracted, where the unseen records your tears as proof that you didn't give up on hope, even when everything else told you to. Every Astaghfirullah in this hour is a sword cutting through the ropes of delay. Every Astaghfirullah is a lantern lighting up a path you couldn't find before. Every Astaghfirullah is a seed being planted in soil you thought was barren. You are not too far. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You just needed to come back to the door and knock with the key of surrender. And that key was never your eloquence. It was never your strength. It was never your knowledge. It was your truth. And truth sounds like, Ya Allah, I've tried everything. I've begged from the creation. I've chased peace everywhere. But now, I'm just here, whispering your name, asking you to forgive me, asking you to cleanse what's between me and what you've written. That is the sound of mountains moving. That is the sound of mercy being poured into your unseen. That is the sound of what you thought was impossible being rewritten, because Allah can change anything. But sometimes, He's just waiting for you to change first. Not your habits, not your life, not your situation, but your state of heart. And Istighfar, it softens what pride hardened. It dissolves what sin rusted. It opens what the ego locked. It brings you back. And when you come back, especially in the sacred hour where Allah descends to the lowest heaven, especially when your voice is breaking and your eyes are wet, especially when no one knows what you're carrying but Him, that's when the key turns. That's when the pen of Qadr begins to write again. Not with judgment, but with mercy, with love, with divine response. So if you're standing in the dark, unsure how your life will ever change, don't shout, don't force, don't beg from people. Just kneel and whisper, Astaghfirullah, and watch as the impossible slowly bows to the will of the most forgiving, and what you thought was out of reach becomes yours without noise, because the key was never out there. It was already in your heart, waiting for the night. You finally turned it. Don't rush away from this moment. Let the silence linger, because what you whispered tonight was heard. Every Astaghfirullah, every tear you buried in that sujood, was seen by the one who never forgets a returning heart. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not forgotten. You've simply been redirected to the hour where Allah writes miracles in ink only the heart can read. So keep returning, even in silence, even in darkness, because this path, this pain, this prayer is not the end. It's the beginning of the life you once thought was impossible, softly being opened by a single whisper, Astaghfirullah.